I'm kind of hesitant to say evening, folks, because it's before 5 o'clock, but I have an appointment and I'm leaving here at about 5:30. So I'm doing this early. This is your closing comment for Thursday, the 5th of October. And there will not be a daily note tonight. So please watch this. Okay. So this morning's title was Weak Meaningless Rally, which was a mention of last night. And last night, I could not have been more emphatic. And I also could have used the same exact video because today's market was even more of a crap show. I'm trying to clean it up. Okay, everything except the Russell closed down. Now, yes, it is true. They were much lower this morning. And yes, there was a disconnect today between interest rates and stocks. But I want to remind you again, and I'm going to remind you repeatedly until it stops. This market has nothing to do with inflation and quote interest rates. Interest rates don't have anything to do with inflation here. Interest rates have to do with the massive amount of issuance that is coming to this market. I've been talking about it now for 2 years that this is what was going to happen. I didn't have the timing exactly, but you can't say that I didn't warn you. This is what happens when there is a mountain of debt that has to be refied and rates go higher. And so people back further and further away from being buyers of duration. So today, the 10-year was 471 right before the release of the numbers. They got all the way up to 478 right after, and then they managed to settle the day back down at 471, which is 3 points from yesterday. So a decent move. In the meantime, even though the market did in fact rally, practically unchanged, Dow was down $10. Nasdaq was down $16. The S&P was down $5.50. The transport's down $47. The VIX basically unchanged at down 9 cents. And as I mentioned, the Russell was the only one that was up $2.50 or 0.14%. What's more important, however, is that the volume contracted even further and the advanced declines got even worse than yesterday. Yesterday they were slightly positive. Today they were negative. The NYSE, which traded just under 980 million yesterday, traded 880 million today. That's down 12% day over day, and the volume was already light. Advanced declines were 6 to 5 to the downside. Over on the NASDAQ, advanced declines were about even, 2,200 down, 2,100, just under 2,100 up. Volume 4.1 billion. This is not what bottoms are made of. This is not even what rallies are made of. I personally think we're going lower. I still believe, yes, we are getting set up for a year end rally. Yes, October is a turning month, but it's also a very volatile month. And I think that you're going to continue to see that. So today's numbers were pretty benign. I mean, they were better than the ADP numbers. Initial claims were 207, which is well lower than the 225 that was expected. Continuing claims were 1,664,000, and they were down literally a couple of thousand, so nothing there. Trade balance improved from minus 59.5, and it was expected at minus 65. It came in at minus 58.3. However, tomorrow's numbers are the big ones. Non farm payrolls. Consensus is 158 versus the prior number, which was 187. Non farm private payrolls, so not government, 150 expected versus 179 prior. Unemployment rate 3.7, which would be an improvement, versus 3.8. I don't see how that happens. Um, Average hourly workers, which, as far as I'm concerned, hourly workers and the average work week are the two most important numbers. Briefing has the consensus of 0.3% on earnings versus a prior 0.2, and average hourly work week 34.4 versus 34.4. So we'll have to see how that goes. And of course, later on in the day, um, we have the August consumer credit, which I'm assuming is going to be a problem. So that's where we are. Now, as far as the futures go, not going through the whole list here because they are just settling out right now. But I will tell you that the grains look like they are seriously trying to turn. Um, I've mentioned it the last couple of days that we were at support. And today, this is the corn. The corn was up was up 11 and a half cents a bushel, which was a move of almost 2.4%. Same situation, but not as extreme in the soybeans. The soybeans were up only about 0.6%, but as you can see, low rally, closing near the low and barely changed on the day. Higher low, lower high, so a little bit of a flagging out here, but closing on the high and up on the day. And the one that looks probably the most impressive is the wheat. Wheat was up 18 and a quarter cents a bushel. That is 3.25%, and it had already closed on the low on Friday of last week. Started right up on Monday, although it was an inside day. It was also an inside day up 23 cents. These are all dailies. So this 23 cents was a pretty substantial move. Had a quiet day on Wednesday, slightly lower day yesterday, and then today opened basically unchanged and closed pretty much on the high, as I said, up 3.25%. So, um, you know, everybody has to eat. The most impressive chart from my perspective, was the one that we are in, and that is nat gas. We don't have any UNG. I own a little Boyle, but we own all of that Tellurian. And when I hear that we are, that the economics uh, of shipping it out, taking it in, shipping it out, are getting actually better, and I see a day where Oil was down just like it was down yesterday, and today nat gas has a low of 296 and a half and a high of 320 and a half. The last 318.60, that's up 22.4 cents or 7.56%. Also, there was a roll here, which is how we went from a 265 market to a $3 market. But in the following 10 days, we came all the way back down here to this 279 area, but refused to break below these, all of the moving averages. They've all flattened out, as you can see in the weekly. Here's where we are. And weekly. Um, Looks pretty much the same, except that, when you look at this, you're looking at a move that's a year old, and frankly, wouldn't matter how far out you go. It's been a long way down, and if we start to break to the upside, it'll be pretty impressive. Remember, this is the time of the year when we start hearing about heat and weather, and so we'll just have to see how that shakes out. All right, folks, that's about it. Getting out of here. Hope everyone had a decent day, and I'll be back first thing in the morning.